Travis and McKinney here at the Elite FTS compound. Today we're gonna go over how I set up for the bench. First step, you gotta identify where your bench is. If your bench isn't here, you're not gonna bench. Thankfully, I found my bench. Second step, I'm gonna get my shoulders set before I even lay down. By getting my shoulders set, I am retracting my shoulder blades and depressing them down. I'm squeezing my lats before I even get down there. If you notice, my elbows are moving kind of a circular pattern. What that's gonna do is make sure my bar path is a little bit lower, but now I can use my lats to bench. It's gonna be a little bit of a lower touch point as opposed to being flared up here by the nipple line. Get my shoulders set, retracted, depressed down, squeezing my lats, and I'm staying here for the setup. Fall back on the bench, and I'm gonna dig my traps into that bench. With my lats still tight, hands up on the bar. Notice how I'm doing it before I slide back. Because now, when I slide back, I can push my shoulders even further down. Now my shoulders are even lower than where they would have been otherwise. Drop the butt down to the bench. Kick my feet back one at a time. And now I squeeze my glutes. Squeezing my glutes to make sure they don't pop up when I bench. Squeezing the glutes. And when I take the bar out of the rack, I'm squeezing my lats and just pulling straight out as if I'm doing a pullover. Squeeze the lats, pull the bar across and squeeze out. Now I'm right over my touch point. Straight line down, and slightly arc back. Got to make sure that the first thing that you're doing when you press up is you're activating those triceps. Far too many people, when they touch their chest, they start with their shoulders and they flare right away at the bottom. You got to start with your triceps at the bottom. Then if you flare, it's going to be that last just little bit of a lockout. We're going to go over how I pick the squat in a multiply stance. Again, we're assuming in multiply, we're assuming that I have 3-ply briefs over my hips, and we're assuming that I have a canvas suit on. The difference between my briefed pick and my brief and suit pick is nothing. It's the same. When I lift raw, when I pick raw, the only difference is I'm going to move my stance in just a couple of inches. But again, the process is going to be completely the same. First thing that I do, identify where the center of the bar is. With these Sportcraft squat bars, it makes it nice and easy because they have a center line. Not all bars do, but you have to identify where the center of that bar is. I keep my hands out wide. I had a couple shoulder injuries a few years ago, so I had to keep my arms out wide, but I have now learned that for me, keeping my hands out wide allows me to keep a more vertical torso, so I'm able to stay more stacked over my hips and ankles, and my torso stays perpendicular to the ground. Identify the center of the bar. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep my feet set. If we're using a mono that has these band holes on them, these peg holes on them, makes it nice and easy to identify where the center of the mono is. Just gotta make sure that my laces line up the same on both sides. Centered with the bar, hands set, feet set. Now I'm gonna get under the bar and I'm gonna keep a high bar position. Slide back under the bar. Bar set right on top of my traps. With my arms out wide, I can form a nice little shelf with my traps and my shoulders. Rotate my elbows down into the bar. This is gonna help me keep more of a vertical torso. Next thing I'm gonna do is work my hips and my knees. Just like in a deadlift setup, knees go out, I'm twisting my femurs in my hip socket. Hips are back, I'm taking my deep breath, and I'm squeezing my glutes forward, pushing my knees out. Now, my body is stacked over my ankles, the bar is over my ankles, and all I have to do is squeeze my glutes and pick the bar up. One more time, and then I'll do a full squat. Now I'm going to do a full squat, but I'm going to restart my full set. Walk up to the bar. Get my hands set. Identify the center of the bar. Now I'm getting my feet set. Lean back into it. Pull myself through, so all I have to do is slide down, and the bar is placed on the top of my traps. Deep breath, femurs out, squeeze my glutes forward. Deep breath again. Now I'm ready to squat. Yep. We can do this one more time. One more full squat. Take a deep breath, squeeze my glutes, moving out, moving my femurs out. And that's how I set up for my squat. I'm very methodical about how I set up my deadlift. I go over a checklist in my head, and I have to make sure that checklist is hit in order every single time. First, identify where the bar is. That's the first step. If you don't have that one, you're gonna be missing a lot. Gotta get your feet set. These rings are nice, easy guide markers to make sure that your feet are even on each side. I want to make sure that the edge of my calves are the same distance from the rings on each side. Next, I got to make sure that the angle of my toes are sitting the same on both sides. The checklist that I go over, first thing I'm gonna do, head up, chest up. I'm gonna sit my hips back just slightly. Open my hips. When I say open my hips, I'm referring to squeezing my glutes in a way that pushes my femurs out so that they track out and over my feet. Head up, chest up, squeeze the glutes, femurs out. I'm gonna squat down, straight down, keeping my torso perpendicular to the ground till my fingertips come right next to the bar. Now what I'm gonna do is keeping my back straight. It's already set. I'm squeezing my abs. I'm gonna rotate up, and I can get my grip set. Typically I'm gonna hook grip, but for today I'm just gonna do a double overhand. The reason I set my hips up is because when I take my breath, I have all this open space here with my ribs. If I was set, I can't take a breath. My triceps are hitting into my ribs. Take my breath. Now I'm gonna squeeze my glutes, and as soon as my shoulders are vertical over the bar, I'm gonna extend out, squeezing my glutes, pushing my hips forward, shoulders back, and the bar is gonna come up in a straight line. Take my breath, squeeze the glutes, straight line up. And if you want to come off to the side, you can see that the bar doesn't deviate. The bar, I'm not overextending back. The bar's not falling forward. The line of this bar comes straight up. The bar extends up and my hips meet the bar to lock it out. I'm not overextending, my hips move forward. Thank you.